Eat stuff once.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Eat stuff
G'day.
once.
I heard eat
That's
stuff
what
once.
Yeah,
That's
eat
what I
stuff
heard.
once.
We were discussing our relative locations based on the snow amount we've ever seen.
The snow amount.
Huh?
There's
Well, Tad has one level of
place
snow expectation
like
right
home.
now. I have one. Probably you guys in New Mexico have a different one, and our Australian friends have a totally different expectation. So,
Okay.
yeah, never mind.
We're going to talk about Funko Pops. Once a week, we like to open up our Discord at backrowdiscord.com for some of our back row buds to discuss some of the internet's hottest topics. Today, we're going to talk about Funko Pops. Well, I mean, that's where you find a lot of Funko Pops at Hot Topic.
Exactly.
This crazy collectible has been one of the best-selling collectible brands for over a decade. And since they joined the stock market in 2017, their stock price has tripled. They have also recently gotten into the NFT game. Their sales for 2021 was projected to be $915 million, their highest ever. They even had their first balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year.
What?
Is the Funko bubble going to burst? Will they fade out of popularity? And if so, will it happen suddenly, like with Beanie Babies? Or will it take a long time to fade out? What are your thoughts?
I actually have a thought.
I'm glad because that's
Listening.
what this discussion's for. So
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm on the top of the list here. Okay, so Funko Pops, we're finding a different trend in collectabilities. So, for example, Pokemon we thought was going to die out after like 1999. And then there's been a major resurgence after 2004 to 2008, where older adults that are your guys' age, and
Hey!
not our age.
Wow. He just called us
Careful.
older adults. Older adults. Hold on. I don't care. No,
That's-
our Discord discussion is out the window. We're about to Discord argue.
I have
This
never
is
wanted
where
to,
we add the asterisk of
Yeah, well,
boot
there's only
someone
9
out
years
of a
apart from
alienating
us.
people that are anywhere between,
my
80 years older than you is not
my
a good plan.
cursor
And
is hovering over Dan Tad Hall in the Discord right now.
But for the reason why I bring that up is the nostalgia part.
Yeah.
And so, for example, Funko Pops is in this trend. So we're seeing this huge resurgence. There is going to be a moment where things are going to die down, but not die out. And then there's going to be a revitalization and just a recurrence, because they are somewhat timeless in the fact that they are kind of action figure-ish, but they're also more, they touch on a lot of fandoms, which these fandoms won't die out.
All right, good thoughts. Who's up next?
Who wants to follow that?
It's all T's in here today.
Any
Tad,
of our-
Trey,
Yeah,
and
which is
Trisha.
odd.
Any of our older adults want to follow that?
Well, as someone who consider themselves an older adult, as in 45,
45? Wow. Yeah, you're
Yep.
older than us. That makes us feel good. Go ahead.
You may now have the floor.
I was the oldest first.
I think KY might have you beat, but y'all are close.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. My thoughts. I don't think they're going to die out anytime soon. Only, while they can get licenses for stuff. Yeah, and there's always new stuff coming out. Yeah, while there's Star Wars and anime and stuff like that, no one's not going to buy it if they've got their favorite character in a Funko Pop. Everyone's going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on board with that as well. That is the main difference between Beanie Babies and Funko Pops, is that the only Beanie Babies that had any kind of licensing were knockoffs. They weren't official Beanie Babies. They were other companies trying to jump in on the trend. I specifically remember owning knockoff Beanie Babies that were being sold by WWF at the time. It's like I had a Stone Cold Beanie Baby, I had a The Rock Beanie Baby, D-Generation X Beanie Baby, but they weren't official like TY Beanie Babies. Thray, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that as a company, they've diversified quite well in the fact that, as it's already been mentioned, they touch on a lot of different fandoms. Everything from the dark delves of nerd culture to just random pop culture of, yeah, that person that was on the news a few times too much last week, they're getting a Funko Pop. So, all honesty, I feel like instead of comparing them to Beanie Baby, we should be like comparing them to Barbie, to be honest. In the fact that it is technically a figurine that represents something that, you know, people look at and enjoy. And as long as they evolve as the company Barbie has, they're going to have an audience. I mean, they're doing a better job at selling big-headed figures than, say, Brat dolls, which terrified me as a kid.
Oh.
I was just like, what in the world? Why was that?
I still have nightmares from seeing those commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just feel like it depends on what they choose to do as a company. Right now, it seems like they're making a lot of smart choices where they're making themselves a very easy piece of merchandise for any other company to include. Like, you know, you get your hat, your shirt, and your Funko Pop.
Yeah.
And that's what you put your merchandise for your show or your movie. They're, you know, becoming just one of those basic things that you get. And since they've got a default figure that is, all honesty, in many ways a little bit easier to manufacture than the traditional action figure, where you need to worry about the accessories and the movable parts. They've got a pretty, you know, this is the body, this is the shape. If you're lucky, you might get a vehicle, and he might have something that moves, but it's very rare. In fact, we're gonna have kids arguing about whether the box gets opened or not.
Oh my gosh.
You know, Thray, the way you put it there with the whole, it's becoming the part of the standard merch that you buy now for practically everything. That makes perfect sense, and I hadn't really realized that, but that is the case. You go to any kind of con or any kind of fandom event, and that is like the three things you get: your hat, your shirt, and your Funko Pop.
You go to an amusement park and that's what you get.
Yeah.
And that, for real, legit, went to Universal and
Yeah, I saw a whole bunch of
we got Pops.
the Universal thing. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so all of you basically have the similar thoughts in that it's the licensing that largely is going to keep it afloat. Tad, I think you're right when you say that I don't think they're pretty much ever going to fall out of favor. I think they might have waves of popularity, but I think they'll always remain at least steadily popular to where just that Funko Pop brand, just the Pops themselves, just that one thing that Funko does will be enough to fund anything that they're wanting to do. I mean, they're able to take a whole bunch of risks, and they've been trying out all kinds of different versions of figures and different things in the last few years. They're into board games now. They started with games that were Funko Pop based, but now they're just making all kinds of normal, pretty dope board games that really have nothing to do with Funko other than the fact that they're the ones that are putting it together. I really think... Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
And like Thray was saying, they have a very specific model, and so getting knockoffs is super hard because you can't really knock off something with such a unique and basic design.
Yes.
Yep.
And the fact is even though they're diversifying, if even things like the the infrastructure troubles that we're seeing all over the manufacturing world right now, where even if they needed to scale back the number of products that they put out, if they just stick to that core figure and then just decide which licenses are the most economical for them, they're going to be fine through any economic troubles that we may encounter. So at least this decade, they're going to be fine.
Yeah. For right now, if they just stuck to like their original ones, which were DC, Marvel, Star Wars, and well, that might just be it. I think those are all the original ones. That would still be enough, I think, to be a in the black kind of year, with everything new still coming out with all of these brands. I remember thinking that they were getting so oversaturated that I thought there's no way they can like keep up. Like I'm thinking a lot of these have to end up in a landfill and never get sold. You know, such obscure characters. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, they're going to make just enough of those obscure characters that the people that really are in love with that obscure character are all going to find it and buy it and keep it forever.
Yeah.
It does have, I've always been a out of the box person,
Thank you.
but it does give me pause now seeing that they're continuing to be so popular and still making money, because I thought it would be dipping by now. That
no, they've done more money in the last week.
Yeah. I'm like, in 10 years, if I'd have kept this thing in a box, it might have been worth a whole heck of a lot of money. But too late
Or
now.
not, because they would have come out with the next gen.
Yeah.
of
That's
the
true.
Same
Yeah.
figure.
You know what? That they've only there have been
Collect
only
your
a
thoughts.
couple instances where they've re-released the same pop, and one of those happened to me, and it made me so very mad because they released a Reverse Flash Funko Pop at the Dallas Comic-Con in 2014. I paid somebody to buy that for me and ship it to me, because the only way you could get it was to be at the convention. And then 5 years later or so, they just release it as a common one. It's the exact same pop. There's not a single thing different about it. Exact same box. It just doesn't have the Dallas Comic-Con sticker on it. And now mine was worthless.
That's the risk you run.
I know.
And especially
Made
if
me
they end
sad.
up being a timeless brand with a ton of success, they're going to have their, 30th anniversary re-release or whatever of whatever comes. Because again, if they do end up being one of those toy brands that is truly intergenerational, which I think they're quite in a place to be like that.
Yeah.
They're going to probably evolve in what materials they use. Their design might get refined a little bit, but they're going to basically be the same thing. And then for nostalgia market, they're going to re-release their most successful ones.
Yeah. Eventually,
That
they're gonna have to
old-
hit that. Yeah.
Striped Barbie.
Yes,
They always show you.
exactly.
I did, though, manage to work that to my favor once. I thread the needle one time to make a lot of money. I bought, originally they released the original Power Rangers. The original Power Rangers, they released only 3. The White Ranger, the Pink Ranger, and the Red Ranger. So those 3 came out. Those were the original pops. Like 6 or 7 years later, they released the other 4 or 5 colors, but not the original 3 in that set. And so nobody knew those original 3 were also going to be re-released in new poses here like half a year later. And so everybody bought all those other ones and were like, oh no, the original 3 have been discontinued for so long. And so I was able to sell these things that I bought for less than $30, or about $30 total, for $600.
Wow.
Unboxed. Over an
Very
eBay
nice.
eBay bidding war. I'm like, well, that'll pay for my Funko addiction for another 6 months.
See, See, so that's my thought as far as unboxing is concerned. If somebody really, really wants the pop that you have, they're going to still pay a substantial amount of money.
But I could have gotten more for
boxed
it,
or unboxed. Yeah, of course you could have gotten more, but good grief, how greedy can you be? You paid less than 30 and you made 600.
That's how this economy works.
I don't know.
Arguably, because it was at a lower price, it was more accessible, so more people wanted to bid on it.
Yeah.
Thank you to Library Night for that resubscription, and Toffee's notification popped up, but we already thanked him. Earlier.
A long time ago. So before we started this discussion, I texted Chris to ask him if he remembered which of our pops was our first pop. Because I don't remember getting our first Funko. I do remember when our collecting took off, and that was when Hastings closed because everything was very much on sale.
Oh, when they were closing. Yeah.
Here in our town when the Hastings store actually.
And they had so many Funko Pops. So many.
Yep.
Hundreds and hundreds and like 8 different sections of the store.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, Hot Topic in our mall closed down. And so that was just another.
So all we have is whatever they have at our tiny GameStop.
Yeah.
And then the little Walmart section.
The little Walmart section. Yeah.
That never changes or updates.
Hobby Lobby has some.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But anyway, we have quite the collection that I would have never, ever, 10 years ago, I would have never thought that we would be collecting little plastic, big-headed
chibi
figurines. But it's like, that's what I buy every single person in our family now, at least one in their stocking for Christmas. At least one.
Was I your first Funko Pop? Did I give you the first one or one of your first ones?
What did you give us?
I don't remember, but I do remember there was 2 years that's what I gave everybody because I was hoping to infect them with the bug.
So Chris is pretty certain that our first one was Walter White.
I may have given that to you.
And I really do think that he's accurate, that was our first one. And then we just kind of bought several of the characters from Breaking Bad, and then that kind of became a thing. Okay, so what's our new show? All right, do they have pops? Let's buy the entire cast. We have to have a whole shelf for every television show that we.
Dangerous now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for anybody who's listening, he's like, why are they buying Breaking Bad pops? Are they big meth heads or what's going on? No, that was shot in our state, so.
About 3 hours from us.
We have a bit of an extra love for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Listen, if they made Hell or High Water pops, I would 100% buy those as well because that was filmed right outside of where we are recording currently.
Literally the burger place right next door to our church.
Yeah.
Was in that movie.
The church parking lot was roped off and everything. Our pastor's wife at the time sat out in a lawn chair and watched as they filmed.
Jeff Bridges walk across the parking lot where most of our people park for church.
Yep.
That was pretty fun.
Yep. Anyway.
Chris Pine was running from the bank that's been defunct across from our church for the last several years. To that burger place.
We're not very well known for much of anything. So when our tiny little town gets put on the map for something, we gotta acknowledge it.
Well, thank you guys for jumping in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye, Mo.
Bye.